All right, so where we left off, I was just beginning to pose my creature. I just introduced them, and now I am made a duplicate of the character, and now I'm using Puppet Warp to start moving them in. So with Puppet Warp, I'm going to move the joint so that the foot angles up a little bit, right? I've already pushed the beak and the chest forward. You know, like so. And this is really called rigging. We're kind of creating our bones and our joints, and we're rigging our model. Then I hit return, and now it's tough when I have these videos that I go between because I don't know what things I've changed. So I always go to my stage and I see the last shot, and I see I haven't changed the water yet, so I need to change the water. So now the water is different, right? And the foot has lifted. And I'm not going to worry about putting like a cast shadow underneath my character for each frame, because these just go by in a fraction of a second. But I can see that movement, and if I like that movement of the character coming in. And I do. All right. And then I'm going to play with the mist. And build it a little bit more. And I can put my character now behind the mist. That's what's great about assets, is you can kind of build things up. Nope, I'll keep my character on top of the mist for now. Because that mist is pretty strong. All right. So if this is my next frame, remember, Command 0 will always center it for you. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So what do? I go to my topmost layer. I hold down Option, so it doesn't merge actual layers. It will make a stamp merge. Merge visible, puts it all on the top there. Command A to select it all. Command C to copy it all. Go to my stage, paste it in. And now I can test my animation just by clicking on these. And what I realize is I really like this movement of the bird, but I don't like how it just kind of zooms in. So this is why you do it this way. I like this frame, but this frame is too quick from this frame, right? So I need to reset up this one where I don't have the creature moved in as much. So let me mark the one I want to cut, which is this, and I want to make its replacement in the film. These are reshoots. So I go back, I hit Command D on my assets, delete that merged layer, turn this one off, turn this one on, change my water back to what it was for the one I'm replacing, which is this one. Dial down my mist. These are all the different props and assets I'm playing with. And I like mist because it's variable. It doesn't need to match exactly. It just needs to always be changing, because it will look weird if it just stays still. And now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to move it back like this. All right. I'm going to introduce this character a lot more slowly because it's big, and because it's so big, and that's part of it, I want it to move slow like a kaiju. So now I go to my top layer, I hold down Option, I say Layer, Merge Visible while holding down Option, Command A, Command C, and I'm going to paste it on top of the one I'm cutting, and I'm going to delete that one. So now it goes from this to this, right? You can see how the water changes and the beak comes in. And now I'm going to keep building on top of that one. So it's basically slowing down this introduction. So you get a sense really quickly of how many frames you're going to use for the kind of animation you envision. Command D to deselect, move that one. Now I'm going to take that creature, which is here, going to duplicate it, and instead of puppet warping it, I'm just going to Command T, regular transform it, bring it in and rotate it a little bit so that its eye appears. And you know what? I'm going to make a duplicate of the mist and move it up above. So it's going to be the top layer. I'm going to make it really, really thin. That gives me another layer to play with. And I'm going to dim down this mist, which is at 40%. I'm going to take it down to like a default of 20, 27. So I'll make up the difference here. This is going to just make it more dynamic. So you see, that's the difference. And then what do I need to change? I need to change that water. Go back to this. Okay. Now, how do I merge them? Option, layer, merge visible while holding down Option. Command A, select it all. Command C, copy it all. Go to my stage. Command V, paste it in. Now I have 7 animation frames. Command S to save it. Now, Command D, deselect. Take the Polaroid out of the chamber. I'm going to set up this mist a little bit. I'm just going to bring it up a tiny bit. Bring my creature here, duplicate it. Command T, just move it in. And maybe I'll puppet warp it a little bit too, though I tend to get a little too perfectionist for the amount of time we have for this. But I want to get this foot a little bit closer. So I'm going to bring this chest in a little bit. Kind of angle that. All right. From there to there. Doesn't seem angled enough, so let me puppet warp it some more. And maybe just bring it in a little bit more. Whoops. So really important to know what layers you're working on. Important to have auto select layer turned off so you're not accidentally moving things you don't intend to move. Oh, that's a little too much. So maybe from there to there. There we go. And I got to turn off the one behind it because you can see it's peeking through. Now, the water needs to change. All right. So, let's see. Option, layer, merge visible. Command A, Command C, go to your stage, Command V. All right, now are we ready for this one? Yeah, I think we are. But I'm going to rebuild that one. So I'm going to delete it here. And then I'm going to Command D to deselect, clear that. I'm going to grow this mist a little bit in the foreground, just a tiny bit. Then I'm going to turn on this one, which shows he's lifting up. He's going to make a big step, right? Turn this one off, and then change the water. This is where I had the water last. This is now where I'll have the water. Nope, this is where I'll have the water. Okay. From this to this. That's my next frame. Frame to frame. Hold down Option, Layer, Merge Visible, Command A, Command C, go to your stage, Command V. All right. And then Command D on your assets and clear the chamber. Save your stage. All right, now I want to have his mouth start to open up. right? So not only is he going to move, he's going to start opening his mouth because he's going to move in to eat this tree. It's a big part of my animation. So I need to build more assets, right? So I save my stage, I go back to my assets. And now I duplicate the last position, I turn off the others. So I have all of these so I can rebuild it if I ever need to. Don't worry, we're at low resolution, we're using Photoshop. It's got plenty of memory to hold all of these versions of your character. Sometimes you put all of your character into a folder just so it's easier to manipulate the background. So I could do that. I could select all of them, put them into a folder group, and call that, the character, the dodo. But then I'm just going to keep it open anyway, and then keep my latest one always at the top. So now with this, I want to pose him, and I can just move him in, but Puppet Warp can help with that. So edit Puppet Warp if I want kind of believable movement. It's going to remember where my joints were, which is very helpful. That's a new feature in Photoshop. And I'm going to move that leg. Actually, no, I'm going to plant that foot. Actually, I want it exactly where it is. And everything moves on that foot, right? Because that's how walking works. I'm going to move the whole chest forward. And the hips forward on it. There we go. It's for this next leg to kind of come over and walk. Like, boom, And I'm also just going to move him a little bit like this. Let's see. Yeah, so he is now stepped down. I want to make sure I understand where that step is. So I'm going to plant that foot right there on that rock. That's my anchor. Okay, so from this frame to this frame, that's good, but I need to start opening the mouth. And why don't I change everything else that I need to change, like the mist, start dissipating it a little bit, and the water. All right, good. Now, to open the mouth, I have to create other elements, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize it. Okay. Then I'm going to duplicate the jaw. Just like if you were cutting this out of paper. Command J. Then I'm going to hinge the jaw. You see? And now I need to build behind it. So on this asset, I'm going to make a new layer between that will show the opening of the mouth. So it's going to look kind of like this. And right now I'm just going to say, we can paint, right? So I'm just going to say edit fill, since we've done that before. And instead of white, I'm going to say color. And then I get to pick a color. Do it way too strong to begin with, right? So you can understand what I'm doing. And then I need to erase from the creature that bottom jaw.